Lawyer, you're on the clock.
So we've got a few topics today, Phil, but the first one I want to chat about is information from the Bureau of Labor Statistics was put out yesterday for 2023. And the numbers regarding the level of unionization in the United States were not surprising to me, but fairly significant. So while the unions only added 139,000 members last year, the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that 11.2% of workers were represented by unions in 2023. That's actually down from 11.3% in 2022. But what's really interesting here is that the share of workers represented by unions in the in the public sector actually increased slightly. And then very significantly, the number of workers in the private sector actually held steady from the prior year at 6%. And I think that what's significant about that is that does stem a trend of decline in both of those measures since 2020. So does it mean that the ship has kind of hit the bottom and is starting to turn? I don't know. I know that union activity is up quite a bit overall. The activity trying to organize, the overall union membership rate it stood at about 10% of the workforce in 2023. That's down slightly from 10.1% in 2022, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But again, really interesting that the private sector held steady and the public sector actually increased a little bit. So again, just kind of significant numbers, and people need to bear that in mind as unions are making a renewed push across the country to try to organize.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's a fight for their survival. Ooh, I'm not sure what happened there, but anyway, it's a fight for their survival, right? And when your back's against the wall, you're going to come out swinging, and that can be a fight for many employers who wish to maintain union free.
Yep. So
right.
Again, keep your eye on the ball on that one. So another one I wanted to chat about real quickly is kind of a new development, or maybe I'd say a new take on an old development. And I want to talk about ban the box for hiring ex-felons, ex-convicts. And we're all familiar with the ban the box laws, which that literally meant ban the box that's on job applications that asks the question, have you ever been convicted of a felony resulting in, either jail time, SIS, suspended imposition of sentence, plea of nolo contendere. And then we all have that parenthetical in there that the EOC and the courts want us to have that says, that a conviction will not necessarily automatically bar you for consideration from employment, such things as the age at the time of the offense, the length of time since the offense, the nature of the offense will be taken into account. And then we all know, Phil, that basically you have to do an individualized analysis to determine, look at those factors. And most importantly of those is sort of the job relatedness of the nature of the conviction to the job itself. And so that's what ban the box is. And again, those laws literally are trying to ban that box from the job application. Now, there's an effort going on in many states. I'll give you one guess, Phil, what the main state is that has the most aggressive law in this.
Oh, gosh. You know what? I'm actually torn between three. I'm torn between New York, Illinois, or California, but I'm going to start with New York.
Wow, interesting. New York is one of those, and California was sort of the first of these. And what they're doing is they're passing these laws that are known as Clean Slate Acts. Okay, so clean the slate. And that, these laws vary by jurisdiction, but they generally require states to automatically seal or expunge a person's criminal record for certain crimes once a set number of years passed after the completion of their prison term.
Okay.
And so if the state seals that record or expunges it, then theoretically, when companies such as AIM through AIM Check and other background check companies run their background checks, these criminal convictions are not going to show up. You combine that with ban the box efforts in many states that you can't ask the criminal conviction, and all of a sudden you don't know whether the person who's applying for employment has been convicted of a crime previously. So there are legislative efforts to enact clean slate laws around the country. New York late last year joined 11 other states, including Colorado, New Jersey, maybe surprisingly Oklahoma, to enact such laws.
Me. Yeah.
And
maybe that's due to the number of criminals they have in Oklahoma. I don't know.
I don't know that either, Phil.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, there are efforts not surprisingly, there are efforts in Illinois to pass these clean slate laws, but there's also efforts in Missouri here as well to pass similar clean slate laws. So just keep in mind that is a trend kind of sweeping the country. These fair chance hiring laws are really proliferating along with other movements to remove employment barriers for people with criminal backgrounds. And so you could see increasing federal and state enforcement of these. I think the takeaway here is that the best approach to hiring is to evaluate each candidate on his or her own merits. These individualized assessments of applicants aligns with the EEOC's guidance, as well as the policy goals behind many of these states and local second chance hiring laws. So I think we want to be really careful about that. The effects of these laws are frankly bleeding into jurisdictions that haven't yet enacted such laws. And that's the goal. That's the goal that California and New York always have, is that employers sort of throw up their hands and say, well, if I have to comply with this in California and New York, and I'm a company that does business across the country, I'm just going to comply with it everywhere. Yeah. So very important. And then the last
one,
hard
enough as it is, every city, state, county potentially has a different set of criteria today. I mean, it's not like it used to be. It's extremely complicated, particularly for those organizations try to do it themselves. I have no idea how they can do that confidently with the level of accuracy, but it is very complicated. Our team does such a good job with that, and it's so hard to have a new person do it. You want people who are trained and professionally certified to do this, so they know where and what to include or not include to keep you out of trouble. So it sounds like it's going to become even more complicated.
It will. Yeah. And just to piggyback on that, just a reminder to some folks that do business across the country that the District of Columbia passed a wage transparency law. We haven't been talking as much about wage transparency on the show recently, but that aims to address pay gaps for women in the United States. And so DC did pass a law on that. And I just want to remind people, again, very consistent with the ban the box or the clean slate laws that are popping up around the country, that employers that operate across multiple jurisdictions and considering remote work regulations as an additional challenge, you want to keep in mind that Hawaii made major changes to its Equal Pay Act, which went into effect earlier this year. Colorado passed amendments to its Pay Transparency Act. A wage history ban takes effect in Columbus, Ohio on March 1. And so you just want to make sure that to ensure that you're complying with each jurisdiction, you want to review your job posting templates to comply with the legislation, consider introducing pay transparency as a standard regardless of employment law compliance. Again, it's sort of that least common denominator, whichever states have it. If you want to comply across the country, you just sort of implement it across the country. And then You definitely want to establish a system to demonstrate how hourly rates and salaries are determined for new employees. And you want to create equitable pay ranges for your job listings. There are resources out there that help you determine competitive and fair salary ranges by overlaying internal pay equity data with external labor market data. And I know that's a service that AIM offers as well.
Oh, it's a key service that we offer with our partner, Mikey Mack, who's on the program with us. All of our listeners are familiar with him. And excellent. What else you got there, Mr. Garland?
That's it, Phil. We've covered, again, the fastest 6 minutes. I'm sorry, the slowest 6 minutes or the fastest 12 minutes you'll get in your day.
Thank you once again for tuning in to This Week at Work. If you enjoy the show, please share it with your colleagues. Forward our invites. Share the link, aimea.org/This Week at Work, or follow or subscribe wherever you get your news and entertainment, like LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere you are.